Alright, next up we are going to talk about chronology or sequencing. Okay, sometimes it happens that you need to narrate an instance. Okay, so cohesive devices that involve sequencing are these ones. Firstly, secondly. So these things you will find them useful when you are writing task 1 about process charts, flow charts and all that. You can also find them useful in your essay when you are, let's say, talking about cause and effect. Okay, so sequencing is also very important, but the first 3 that you see, firstly, secondly, thirdly, I would strictly recommend not to use these ones. Okay, these are not incorrect, they'll not give you they'll not cut your bands if you have used this, but the problem with these 3 is a lot of students, majority of the students will use these 3. Okay, so if you want to fall within that bracket of majority of the students, use them, but there is nothing wrong with that. Okay, so in place of firstly, you can choose initially. In place of secondly, you can choose after that or then after. THEN, not THAN. Okay, now there are other words as well, post and pre. So I will say, if I had to frame a sentence with post, I would write, in the post match presentations, MSD had a chat with the media. Okay, so post pre, then post pre, or there is also another word that people like to use is prior. Prior is also one of the words, so that is also something that you can use. Okay, let's see what else do we have. Finally, you usually use it towards the end. Okay, so finally you can frame a sentence like this. Let me just, so you can say finally when you are concluding something. This could be used for your concluding paragraph in task 2, or it could be used in your conclusion. Task 1 does not have any conclusion, but when you are writing, let's say, a flow chart or a process chart, and you are writing about the final step or the final procedure that the chart displays, then you can write finally and so and so and so. This is again a cohesive device. Okay, before, after, then, subsequently. Okay, these are the things. Now don't try to memorize these things, okay, because usually the students in our country, that they do these things. Okay, they'll memorize it, and then whenever a question of that sort comes, what they'll do is they will choose any of the cohesive devices that according to them suits well, and they use it. Okay, and as we discussed in the very first part, okay, you have to, so if you need to score more than band 6, on band 6 it says you are using them not in a correct way or in a mechanical way. So if you have memorized it and you just add all the cohesive device before starting any sentence, you are just doing it mechanically. Okay, so if you want to score more than 6, that is 7, you have to use a range of cohesive devices, and not just range. Then you'll say, okay, if they are asking range, I'll simply just memorize a lot of cohesive devices. That's not how it works. You also need to use them appropriately in that sentence. Okay, so how you can improve is, you can initially it will require some memorizing. You can memorize these cohesive devices, but try to frame sentences Do not straight away use them into your essay. Try to frame sentences, get it checked by your teacher, or you can take up one of my online courses and I can guide you further. But if you want to learn appropriate use of cohesive devices, do not just memorize it and try to use it straight away in your essay or in your write-ups. Okay, try to frame correct sentences first, and gradually, as you get good at it, then incorporate them into your essay or write-ups. That is the correct way to do it. Okay, it will take some time, yes, because it's not students in our country, they usually want like a plug and play sort of a solution, that tell me what I need to do and then it has to show improvement. That's not how it will work. Okay, next up is emphasizing when you want to stress upon a certain point. Okay, let's see, this is this category, emphasizing. If you want to emphasize on certain things, let's see. So let's start with indeed. Okay, so this is simply you are just stressing on something, that okay, I need to talk about these things. Indeed, I would say. Indeed, Bharat has immense potential in terms of human resource. Okay, this is just a simple sentence. Indeed, if you had to search a Hindi equivalent of indeed, it would be हकीकत में. Okay, in reality or indeed, सच में, जैसे बोलते हैं सच में, हाँ, भारत has an immense potential in terms of human resource. So indeed is used in this way. Do not try to use indeed wherever you think you want to stress upon सच में ऐसा ही है. Okay, there are ways, because as we discussed, you need to use them appropriately. Okay, let's focus on chiefly and mainly. How do you use chiefly and mainly in a sentence? Let's focus on that. Okay. Chiefly. Okay. The government is focusing on providing free education chiefly or mainly to the underprivileged okay. So this is how you can use them properly in a sentence. Do not try to add chiefly or mainly wherever you want to stress a point. Okay, there are sentences where you only can use indeed, there are sentences where you only can use chiefly. Now the next question, after I tell my students, okay, this is how you're supposed to use, then they will say, how do we know when to use indeed and when to use chiefly? Okay, that will again depend upon the corpus of words that you have. Okay, I can also use indeed in this sentence, but the sentence will have certain modification. Okay, clearly, generally. Let's use significantly. Significantly is a very common word that I see a lot of students using, but they will use it incorrectly. Let's see. Okay. Significantly. Now, significantly can be used as an adjective as well. the pollution levels have risen significantly. Here I have used that as an adjective, that is visheshan, that is in Gujarati when you add a little bit more information to the verb, that is risen. Okay, so the pollution levels have risen significantly. What else do we have? In particular. Let's see what in particular has to say. Okay, in particular. In particular means there are many content creators who are highly biased towards a single political party. Okay, for example, you can add anyone. Let's say I want to add Dhruv Rathi in particular. Okay, you can add your own example. This is just I'm taking as an example. I have nothing against this individual. Okay, so there are many content creators who are highly biased towards a single political party, Dhruv Rathi in particular. Okay, I'm taking just an example. Okay, so whenever you want to stress that you made a statement, you made a general statement, but if you also want to give an example, then you can add that example and then add in particular towards the end. Okay, that is how you use in particular. So if you want to give an example while you are writing a sentence, then you can use this cohesive device of in particular. Right, the rest of them I think you would have used them very frequently.